Sharks are possibly one of the most mischaracterized things in media. Despite how little they attack and kill humans, their performances on screen would lead you to believe otherwise. Shown as these bloodthirsty, almost demonic beings that love to kill just for the sake of killing, it unfortunately leads to the shark population's dwindling. What started out as a book being adapted into one of the best movies ever would unintentionally cause such a large problem, as it spread even to the food market, with shark fin soup becoming a delicacy. Yet, not many of these films would achieve mainstream status, but in the late 90s, as creature features were on their decline, one would come out that would revitalize it, if only for a brief period of time. Now, with that somber tone introduced, you might expect me to bash this film, unless you read the title or something, but quite the opposite, because despite the effects of these portrayals throughout all these movies, I cannot bring myself to hate this specific movie. Because, despite the effects of these portrayals throughout these movies, I cannot bring myself to hate this specific movie and its dumb yet somehow smart ideas. A movie that somehow got 3 Marvel movie actors, 2 of which are in their current MCU, directed by the man who did Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger, and would later go on to do the very interesting yet mediocre Devil's Pass movie, a found footage take on the Daltov Pass incident, and a fictitious continuation. This movie is Deep Blue Sea. A movie which somehow spawned 2 sequels, but we'll save that for a later video. Now, why do I like this movie, especially considering what I said earlier in the effects of these movies? Well, a lot of reasons we'll get into, but the one thing that manages to separate from others, even Jaws, is that it gives the sharks an almost human quality to an extent, with them only retaliating after being experimented on, which they didn't consent to. Even if this doesn't change the audience's view on sharks in general, which I doubt, it still strikes me as so interesting that a movie which at first glance would seem like an early day sci-fi movie with a bigger budget and a couple good actors would actually bother to be a competent movie with a genuine reason for the sharks to be so vicious. It also helps that I have nostalgia for this film, bleeding into this weird fascination for it. It's a movie I've struggled to competently and fully talk about for some time, and I've only done one video on it, but it wasn't super duper good and really edited, and I've now decided that this would be a good time. Hell, it lines up with the trailer of the Meg 2 The Trench, and that's coming out soon. The film begins with possibly the most and least unique theme song ever. See, the opening of the theme sets a really good tone for the rest of the film. This rising tension that never lets go, letting you know something bad is about to happen, something familiar but different enough. It immediately puts you into an alerted mood, with its great use of strings, but then the rest is just alright, like it's nothing special but it's also not horrible, which sends the opposite message of the beginning, something very basic in what you know, almost a homage to Jaws, and while this is similar to that in Jurassic Park, which I'll explain later or you'll just really see later, it's still a little lackluster. We see some teams making out on a boat before being interrupted by a shark attack, but unlike Jaws, this ends in no fatalities and is stopped by Carter, played by Thomas Jane, who was at one point the Punisher, before being replaced by some other actors, including John Bernthal, who seems to be a concurrent one. Not a problem as he seems fit for the role, just noting. We transition from the sea to the highest point from it, or at least close to that in a nice reverse, as we see Dr. Susan McAllister, but we'll just call her Susan, getting off a helicopter to meet some investors, one of whom is Russell Franklin, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who's tasked with being sent to the facility and see if it's alright. See the similarities to Jurassic Park? It even has one of the actors from it. What I do like is how Susan is characterized, as someone blindly led by ambitions caused from a deeply tragic accident. She has a personal experience with Alzheimer's, her dad having it, and seeing him become the state he did, makes her sure it should never happen to anyone else, and wants to do anything she can to stop it, even if it means experimenting on sharks. Despite her being a bitch, especially later on, there is still some humanity to her, although I don't understand why she kept telling her father that his wife died, knowing he has Alzheimer's. Like, can't you lie and say she's gone to the supermarket or something? Don't need to pour salt into the wound, he's gonna forget it anyways. Stupid. They get into the plane, and it is here where we learn Russell also had a traumatic experience in the Alps. We don't know much, but we do know he didn't save everyone. We see some more sharks with some more awesome practical effects, fortunately the CGI isn't, as Russell and Susan get into the facility and meet Janice. The shark from earlier decides to go after Carter, but he evades it in what seems like an introductory scene, but we already met him. So, weird. One thing that's important is the relationship him and Susan have. Almost flirting in a way, and in any other B-movie, it would be that way and they would end up together. Yet here, it's the total opposite. They are more snarky towards each other and in a despising way. They don't actually like each other, and even the test audience knew it. Hence why she went from originally living to dying in the final cut. You would think they would become a couple, but the movie shows it's got some intelligence, like the sharks it depicts, and strays away from it since it's so cheap and easy to do. Hell, even Carter doesn't like Russell, who's very much like Gennaro in this moment, this rich man in a suit who will die for us, except that doesn't happen. You'll see what I mean. You also meet Jim Whitlock, another MCU regular. Well, for a bit, he's kind of disappeared. Even in the recent Thor movies, nowhere to be found, at least from memory. Him and Janice are actually in a relationship, but it's mostly just relegated to comments and a deleted scene. Some more things of note are a storm that's coming closer and closer by the minute, and Brenda, the one in the tower. Most of the cast leave as a budget isn't big enough for them, as Carter and this guy named Tom talk about how the sharks escaped, and we get a general idea of the layout of the facility. We also meet the last member of the cast, Preacher, played by the one and only LL Cool J, who actually contributed 2 songs to this movie, Deepest Blues and Say What? He's a chef and he's got a parrot who totally won't die. Oh, and it's feeding time as the sharks devour one of their own, setting up how vicious they are. A surprise birthday is thrown for Susan as Preacher and Russell talk. We also learn Tim's view on these majestic creatures and how they're from a much more primordial time. This comes back in an interesting way. Carter and Susan argue about the situation and how if they don't pull off what they need to pull off, I could have phrased that better, they will all be out of jobs, with Susan basically threatening Carter, with the filmmakers essentially going screw you to anyone actually shipping these two. Carter goes out and gets harassed by the sharks, who are actually swimming backwards, which is noted by the crew, so that's nice. It's not just like a thing that doesn't make sense. It's happening that no one notices. They eventually capture a shark and get it up and ready for testing before Jim's hand gets bitten because of his idiocy. Because despite his respect for these things, as shown earlier, I guess, it almost comes across as sarcastic, as even in the earlier scene he was just kind of bored looking. So this is basically karma. Shit goes awry as a helicopter appears and tries to get Jim on the stretcher, and they actually do, so yay? Oh wait, no, the sharks are movie intelligent, so they just drag the stretcher through the top part of the facility and through the tower, killing everyone there except for Jim, who's, still on that stretcher. It gets further abused as the shark drags it through the water and pushes it into the main area with the glass, and nobody thinks to move until the glass breaks completely. Seriously, this is a problem I have with almost every single survival film with a situation like this. Run, idiots, run!
Run, Forrest, run!
They eventually get out and lock the door while Janice cries because their lover died. You know, all that silly stuff like building a bond with someone just for them to be killed by some shark might mess someone up. On the flip side, Preacher seems to be doing just fine, giving up his addiction to alcohol and apologizing to God. I mean, he does get smacked the fuck around by water, but who hasn't? I do like how once Preacher starts apologizing, the initial water stopped. I doubt it's more than a slight religious aspect, but I still like it. Like maybe in this universe there is a God, and that's why all these people are getting karma. Yeah, that'd be my reaction too. The other guys, the actual group, encounter a door slowly breaking apart because of the insane water pressure, but manage to get out as they figure out that Susan, did some illegal things to get some better results, breaking their Harvard Compact to get more protein complex from their bigger, altered brains. This is also the start of Russell becoming the actual hero, not fleeing but staying and motivating the others. Nice. Back to Preacher and his endeavors as he continues being the best character, avenging his dead bird that got swallowed whole by igniting the entire room like a boss. Oh, and also he hid in an oven in a really cool scene showing he's actually not an expendable black guy just there to say, oh hell no, and then die. He actually comes up with smart ways to escape. It shows even somewhat early on that this film is different, even if it's just a bit. Oh yeah, he also had a cool line before blowing up the shark.
You ate my bird.
Badass. Back with the group, Tom starts freaking out, which prompts Russell to give the most iconic part of the movie. See, earlier we learned he survived an event in the Alps, but we never knew what it was. Until now. Him and some others got stuck in the Alps because of an avalanche, with only 7 surviving the initial impact. Somewhere they lost hope as well as their humanity because when rescue came, only 5 came out, which seems like most, and is most, but still, they turned on each other. Because of their inability to work together, they turned on each other, and while it's not said, I feel like it's implied they ate each other. I may be making something out of nothing, but considering we're dealing with a man-eating shark movie, it's safe and on brand to assume that's what happened. They took an oath to never reveal what horrible things they did to survive, but when put in this perilous situation, seeing as they're in a similar one, Russell realizes it's best to not repeat those mistakes, to not be like the scientists who got them all in this situation, too blinded by their emotions and the promises of the now, to not see the consequences of the future. By now, he's fully accepted his hero role, a turn from their generic suit just there to die as an extra body to fluff up the kill count and show things have gone wrong, to a hero ready to save and motivate everyone. He's evolving, just like Carter, both from the unassuming backgrounds of their stereotypes, a rich man in a suit and a quiet guy with a past, both to heroes, but just gradually, in a situation in a dire need of one, let alone 2. But because the sharks realized Samuel L. Jackson only lost his arm in Jurassic Park, they decided to make up for the raptor's past mistake by ripping him apart. Nice.
Just ate him, Christ.
Nah man, they just got him a role in the Coming to America sequel. Oh wait, that already came out.
See, now that's some bullshit.
They get into some ladder as the fire from above starts coming down and messing things up, leading to Janice's death, which is even worse when you realize she was actually pregnant, so yeah, her being bit in that private area is just a whole lot worse. However, Preacher adds some much needed levity by showing up and actually saving them. We do get some further religious parts when Tom curses out God, only to have the facility shake a bit. They all decide to film their last wishes while Carter and Tom go to the flooded laboratory to activate a control to drain away all the water in the stairway, so wait for them to get out basically. Oh, and it's here where we learn Preacher's name is Sherman Dudley, if I heard correctly. Tom gets attacked and brutally murdered with less than special effects. Although I do like the twitches his lower half of the body gives, very realistic and gnarly in a way, or just straight up weird. Susan has her own attack where she electrocutes the shark but destroys all of her work as the three of them regroup just as the water fills the room, with them reciting a prayer or something close to that as they float up to the top. Ironically, this is probably the top of the religious stuff, the peak of it if you will, and it's most heightened, and it works to create a memorable bonding scene, where they come together and stop pissing off God by messing with his creations and will, by coming together and accepting each other in this time of crisis, by coming together and to the top to get out of this facility, by coming together and accepting they are not the ones that control the food chain, and at any moment they can mess it all up and be at the bottom, by coming together and bringing their hope together, by coming together. So anyways, Susan dies. And in a very similar way to Tom, in fact the exact way, kinda interesting to see the usual final girl get got by the big bad shark, but hey, as I've shown, this film is different in the best way, or at least close to the best way. It ain't perfect. Preacher shoots a harpoon at the shark in Carter's leg, but don't worry, he's able to get out in time for the big explosive death to happen, with Preacher using the trailing wire to send an electrical current to the explosive charge in the harpoon, exploding the shark as Carter makes it to shore, or just the facility, I guess, that's completely destroyed. The two lay back as the film ends with the boat coming back, and that was Deep Blue Sea. Kinda great. It's got some interesting aspects to it that elevate it from what would otherwise be a generic but entertaining shark film. I like that it has an actual budget, stunning analysis and critique I know, but it's rare to see that with shark movies. More often than not you get low budget trash that is entertaining but nothing more, but this tries to be more and is more. The religious aspect is unique and kinda smart, just like the characters and how they evolve. They are hard to predict and are enjoyable to see and grow and change. The set pieces are cool and unique and manage to keep a good pace throughout its runtime. Its music is awesome, especially LL Cool J's songs as they're the main ones remembered.
Call the fire department. We just nuked the building.
But the theme, like I said, is good for the first bit, the rest is fine. Overall, the film is a solid end to an era of creature features, a genre that is slowly coming back with films like Crawl and the occasional Jurassic Park or dinosaur movie. I hope it does fully come back because this is a fun genre I'd like to see explored more. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok where I'm active on both. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.